Today we're going to take a quick video here. I made a couple pot cozies. I needed them before I went on a canoe trip. I've started dehydrating more of my own food, stopped using freeze-dried and packaged meals so much, and I'm starting to actually make a lot more of my meals. It allows me to control the portion size, whether I want to make them for just myself or I'm making them for a group of people, you know, and scaling it up for 3 or 4 people on a trip. In putting together some of the meals and dehydrating things, I needed some pot cozies. There's about 25 videos out there on pot cozies. A couple of the best ones I found were Shug Emery's and Maddie the Goose. So thanks to those two folks for putting very good instructional videos out there, and that's what I used to make mine. Today we'll take a real quick look at, I'm going to spend most of the time making this one. Each piece gets put together the same way. You'll be able to see them. My benefit of all of mine is they all stack inside each other, and then all the pots stack inside, and they're able to come together into one nice, easy container that doesn't take up more space than originally. They're also very light, which also is one reason why everyone likes to use them. I hope you enjoy this video.
Some of the materials that you're going to require to put this together are Reflectix insulation. These come in a variety of different sizes for the roll. You'll see I've got the large roll here. You want a roll large enough for the pots that you're going to work with. You're going to need some foil tape. A marker is always helpful. I used a Sharpie marker because it marked on it quite well. The scissors, of course, are going to cut it out. Some optional stuff you're going to use, perhaps maybe a ruler. And I used a little bit of WD-40, and the WD-40 was primarily used to clean the residue of the tape off the scissors. The tape is very sticky and it gets on everything, and if you get it stuck to your Reflectix, it's going to be hard to get off. It's pretty straightforward. Take your pot bottom or your lid, put it down, trace around the outside of it, and you want to cut it out using your pair of scissors. Once you've got your bottom together, then you're going to want to start to put together your sides. What I did is I used a ruler to help get straight lines, but that's probably an occupational hazard, being a little anal and retentive. I like to make things nice and neat. I'm a little bit fussy, so that's what I did. What I did here is, as you can see, I just mark off the bottom of the pot there. You want the Reflectix on the side to come below the edge of the pot. Part of that is the reason is so that if you're using a pot gripper, as you saw in the introductory scenes there, you can still get your pot gripper around your pot to be able to lift it up and put it in your cozy after you've taken it off your fire. And if you're making a solo, like a peak cook set or something like that, you're going to be able to put your lips right up against the pot without having to put it on your cozy. And if you're stirring food or anything in the cozy, you're going to find that it will keep it cleaner if the lid, if the edge of your cozy is below the lip of your pot. So once you take it out, then you're going to want to put them along the sides. Make sure you got that it fits, because that way then if you have to start over again, you're going to be able to do it. So here we are, we're going to check it out. Here, you'll notice up in the corner I got a time bar running. I'm having a little bit of fun here, you know, playing with the editing software and all these toys that you can work with. You see I got a really old video camera there, and when we go to this view here, you can see it doesn't line up right there that much on the bottom. It comes close together, but we'll trim off some of those edges a little bit later. But the time code actually shows the process that I went along in putting this thing together. It took about 30 minutes total, and I've shrunk it down to around 10 here to put together these cozies. They go together. That brought you up to the point. All told, it takes about an hour a cozy to do each one, top, bottom, as well as all the parts inside. Here I am trimming off the edge where they didn't quite line up perfectly. We'll just trim that little piece off. Just to, again, like I say, I like things to be nice and neat, and kind of picky on making things together. It's just kind of how I like to put my stuff together. When you're actually taping over, and this isn't so much of a, I don't think more of an anal thing, there's actually a reason behind it. You'll notice that I'm overlapping the tape to cover up the edge all the way around. Well, it not only makes the cozy look better, which it does, but the purpose, the reason you're doing it is Reflectix insulation is comprised of 2 pieces of mylar with a plastic bubble sheet in the bubble wrap in the center. And if you were to put a hot pot in there, or that was really hot right off the fire against the plastic, there's a chance that that plastic might melt to your cookware or your pots. So by overlapping each of these foil tapes on there, you're creating an area that will reflect all the heat back. The insulation keeps it warm, but this is what's going to stop the heat from getting to the plastic and melting it. And as you can see, you know, I'm just I'm sticking them on my hand. Okay, now we've got that done. So, a nice one here. See the edges here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to roll it to kind of flatten these edges out here. What I'm doing here in rolling this pot down is it accomplishes 2 things. It kind of forms it to the bottom of my pot, and your pots are going to be different, and that's why everyone makes Cozies, because they fit all your pots differently. Take a good look around, see if there's anything here that I can tell needs to be fixed. But I'm also making sure that the foil sticks to the pot real well. When you're going to do the other half, one of the things you got to do is you got to remember that this one part of the cozy is going to go inside the other part, so you have to make it large enough to go over the other side. So when you set it up, make sure that when you take the measurement of where the top part goes, that you cut it based on the outside with the cozy on it. I'm going to do the same thing when I make the top of the cozy using the large sheet. You saw the smaller sheet that I was using prior to that. I actually bought the wrong size Reflectix. I was in a hardware store here and I saw this Reflectix. I bought it and I didn't think about the fact that the pots are going to be wider, so I bought one that was only about 8 inches wide, and my pots were wider than that. So then I had to go out and buy this large roll of Reflectix. Now the smaller roll was easier to do the long part, but you only really need to buy 1 roll of Reflectix. I ended up buying 2, so I've got enough Reflectix to last me for probably the rest of my life. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to make sure that the outside of the top part is actually sized right for the top with it going over. And we'll mark on here, and we're going to cut it to length. You want to make sure that there's a good overlap of the 2, but not more than that. So I cut this at the exact size of the pot, and then once the lid and the rest of it on, it allowed a fairly substantial overlap over the whole entire pots, and you saw that at the start there. Of course, it's always good to put the lid on top of the pot before you wrap this around. That way you know that you're going to fit over your lid. Now my lids do have, as you can see, little ears on the side of it for the pot gripper to hang on to, and it didn't have a problem fitting over these the Cozies. They just kind of worked themselves in, and they ended up with a little bulge in each of the Cozy tops. So when they slide on, they slide back into place. So we take that the top part off, we tape it together, and then we push it down over top of the lid on there. And once we reach the height that we want, we're going to tape that top lid down. And we'll speed this up a little bit because we're just going to be putting tape on there. Once what I found is, I don't remember which side it was on, whether it was Matty the Goose or Shug Emery, but I kind of put the tape on starting across from each other. Kind of, if you think of a clock, and there goes the one camera, the battery ran out. So we started at 12, then we did 6, and then we did 3, and then we did 9. And once I did that, we just we would start off. We had enough tape on there to hold the lid down, and then we kind of split each of those ones in half, and we went and applied the rest of the tape after that. You can see now we're up to 27 minutes of time of doing it. We've got all the tape done on the top part, and then we're going to roll her down to make sure it's all adhered real well. And as I note here, some of the things you want to do, again, we talked about it there just to make sure that the plastic doesn't get exposed to any of the heat and melt on your pots. We go around after and we just kind of put tape over top of all of the edges. And that's putting together a cozy. My cozy lid, my cozy bottom, lid, one cozy mate.